Hi guys, welcome back to Calm Within. In today's video, I am going to be alone. I do not have Ton with me today because we are doing single series episodes. So we're going to have just our own personal episode and an episode that we do together. And in the future, we do want to have more people come in and we can talk about things, mental health and everything. That'd be really cool. But for now, this is kind of like we're just starting this. And I am really excited for my episode today. So I hope you guys stay tuned because I'm excited to talk about this topic. So today I wanted to talk about making decisions. And the reason why I wanted to talk about making decisions is because this past week and couple weeks, I had to make a lot of decisions, and it was hard for me because I'm a person who always thinks about the consequences, what people think, and I realized that I wasn't putting myself first. And so I wanted to talk about a quote before I start. It's by Lewis Carroll, and it says, "In the end, we only regret the chances we didn't take." And I think that's so true. When we look back, we rarely regret the choices that we make in honesty. I think that this is the case because when we're truthful about something, there isn't much to regret. It's so much better to be honest than drag it out and regret you not speaking up for yourself. So I wanted to highlight that quote today. So, why do decisions feel so hard? I personally think the reason why decisions feel so hard is because of our fear of judgment and also our minds always wanting to be in comfort rather than taking risks or doing something for yourself. You'd rather, conform or just do something that is you feel like would be more comfortable rather than taking a scary decision. And our brains love comfort. And I feel like sometimes they trick us into thinking that even if we don't make that scary decision, then as time flies by, we can get through it. But that's not the case. You're going to have to make decisions in life, and you can't procrastinate them, if that makes sense. So I actually wanted to talk about like friendships this episode and making decisions with friendships. So I personally have found myself to always be a person who's really accepting of people, and I don't hold grudges on people too. But there's also a problem with being overly accepting and to the point where you don't have opinions about people and you don't use them properly. So, for instance, I would say like a couple years ago, I had a couple friends that I was okay with. I had no problem with them, but I realized that I did not want to talk to them anymore. And so I was telling my friend this, and she was like, if you don't want to talk to them, just don't. You don't have to be scared of doing what you want to do. And I think that is so true. Like, even though we feel scared, like, oh, if like I like imagine like you just don't want to talk to these people. You think that they're negative and they would bring you down. And they're not the type of people you want to be around. Don't get scared to, stop talking to them and just possibly unfollowing them, stuff like that, because it's your life. That's the truth. And even if in your eyes those people are negative, there's also people who probably think that they are good people as well. So in your life, you have to put yourself first instead of caring about, like, oh, what if they think I'm trying to start drama, stuff like that. Don't worry about that. Just do what your mind tells you to do and just stop talking to them. Cut them off if you want to. Don't get scared of them trying to make problems or all this stuff because that's what I was scared about. And once I kind of cut them off and stopped talking to them, I realized that they actually left me alone. They didn't talk to me because the way I responded after I cut them off was I was still regular to them. It's just I didn't want to involve in any of their dramas. I didn't want to have opinions about what was going on with them. So I would say that when you are making decisions in friendships to cut people off and stuff like that, just do what you want to do, but don't do it in a way that causes drama. Do it in a way that is mature and lets them know that, hey, they seem uncomfortable around me. I'm going to stop talking to them. I'm going to stop saying things about them, and you set that boundary. And that's what decisions are about, setting those boundaries, putting yourself first so that you have control over your life. Okay, so I also want to talk about being too comfortable about situations, because our mind wants us to be comfortable because we don't want to kind of engage in conflict. And I think that's so understandable because I'm like that too. I tend to kind of avoid conflict. I'm a very I'm a person who just doesn't like confrontation. But I realized that even if you're scared to talk to somebody and make that decision of telling them, hey, like, leave me alone, or this is how I feel, I know it can be scary, but you have to remember that this is your life and you can't let them control you. So that's what I personally feel like, and I feel like that's what I've been kind of going through. Don't let anybody scare you into living your life how you want to. Even if it's blunt, even if you're like, hey, look, I just don't want to talk to you, there are ways you can tell people that you don't want to communicate with them anymore, but in a way that it's not meant for like drama, in a way that it's just like, hey, I don't want to talk to you and I just want to keep things regular and professional between us, kind of. And I think that's really important. Even if you are a person who avoids confrontation like me, I don't like fights. I don't That's the main reason why, even if people say things about me, I don't go up to them. I don't talk to them. I just do my own thing. And to a lot of people, it could look like I'm just like avoiding conflict. And that's kind of what I do because it makes me feel safe knowing that I don't have to argue with somebody and I can just go on about my day. But in no means am I saying that that's okay. Personally, my experience is nobody has said anything that horrible about me that I had to like go up to them and be like, hey, stop. It was mostly just like opinions about me. And I'm like, as you grow up, like, I feel like you have to realize that everybody has opinions about you, and you have to realize that you can't just let opinions kind of like make you feel like you're going through so much and it's crazy that people find you annoying. I know it sucks when you hear that, but like, it's just a part of the process of being humans. We all have opinions, and you have to get used to like people having negative comments about you and opinions. But I will say, if it draws a line, if they're talking about something that is uncomfortable towards you, you should stick up for yourself, and you should not be non-confrontational in that case, because they might think that it's okay to get away with it. And I don't think that is okay to get away with it at all. If they're talking about your business, if they're talking about your family, those are things that, me personally, I think that that's where it crosses the line. I mean, like, it's one thing to call me annoying and it's one thing to talk about my family. So I think when it comes to that, you have to stick up for yourself. And if it is scary, I would say, like, have a group with you, have people with you, and just make that decision of telling them to stop, even if it's scary for you. And that's where I also want to move on to another branch of this, and this is like standing your ground. And for a lot of us, it's easy to just agree with what people are saying just to fit in, or just for them to like you, because it's the easy decision to make. It's easy to just stay quiet even if people are saying things that is not okay with you. And I feel like as you grow up, you have to let go of that habit. If people are in a way walking all over you or just pressuring you to do things, especially at this age, it's easy to get pressured. I know a lot of kids who are doing different things than me. It's not a bad thing, it's just personally I wouldn't do it. So if somebody came up to me and they pressured me into doing something that I know I'm not comfortable with, I will tell them, hey, I'm not okay with this. And I feel like that should be normalized, because I think in a lot of young friendships, there's people in friendships and like friend groups who force you to do things, or kind of like tell you like, hey, like, why don't you just come with us, like, we promise, like, you'll be fine. But like, there's so many incidents where that never ended up right. So even if it's hard to hear them say like, oh, why are you saying no, like, it's not that serious, just come with us, instead of saying like, yeah, I'll come, and you're scared and you don't want to go, it's so much better to stand your ground and just say, I don't want to go, I don't want to do this, I am not comfortable with this. I feel like the more you stand your ground, it's also like, it makes yourself more stronger, and it makes you realize who you are. So not only does making decisions shape yourself, it also shapes your life. It shows you how you grow and react to things, because I feel like that's truly the reason why I love talking about this podcast, because our demographic is teenagers, or just young people, high schoolers, stuff like that. And I think that's the perfect age when you start talking about finding yourself and making decisions for yourself, because at this age you have to. You're not gonna have somebody hold your hand through everything. So, like, having that voice is definitely what shapes you in your future too, and in careers as well. But I also want to talk about how making decisions is also kind of like building muscle, and I think that's a good analogy. And the way I see it is, the more decisions you make, the stronger decisions you can make in the future. And I think that's really important, especially somebody like me. And I know a lot of teenagers like this. We tend to not feel confident about ourselves, or even like speak our minds freely. That is one thing that I have always struggled. I have never, I feel like I've always struggled with like talking my own opinion, because there's always, you know, sometimes people cut me off in my opinion. And I've realized now as I grow up, like, that is not the case. You should have your opinion. You should let people know how you feel and set boundaries. And like I said before, when my friend was telling me, like, hey, why do you care so much about what they might do if you stop talking to them? You don't want to talk to them, and that's what's important. Don't talk to them, just leave them alone and do your own thing. And that's what I realized, that making like decisions like, I'm not going to talk to them, I'm just going to leave them alone, stuff like that can really help you build. And just realize that you don't want to condone things, like, you don't want to condone behavior, you don't want to condone somebody's, like, you just don't feel like their personality sits with you, so you just want to, leave them be. And I feel like making decisions like that is good. And even career wise, like, realizing that even if it's like your junior year of high school, realizing that you don't want to do this career and you want to change it up, be honest with yourself, because as we're growing up, these decisions actually shape our lives. It's not like we're in, elementary and we're making decisions like, what am I gonna do in recess? Like, that is not the case right now. It's like getting more serious as we grow up. So you have to get used to that. And I think a good way to do it is right now, look at your circle, look at the people you want to be around, and just ask yourself, do I really want to be with these people? Do they really make me feel comfortable? Should I just leave them be and just do my own thing? Ask yourself that. And also look at your career life. Ask yourself, should I actually do this? Should I actually keep studying this? Stuff like that. Like, make those decisions for yourself. Okay, so I want to do a little bit of a recap. I know this episode was kind of short, but since it's only me talking, that is going to be the case. But I want to talk about all the 3 things that I mentioned in this video. So first thing is friendship. When you're making decisions in friendship or personal life, deciding not to talk to somebody because they hurt you, or you just don't want to talk to them because they don't make you feel comfortable, you have to make those decisions. Don't let anybody stop you from doing that, because a lot of people tend to stay in those toxic relationships or with toxic people because some people have ways of making you feel like if you leave them, they're going to make your life worse, or they're going to make you feel bad, stuff like that. But don't listen to that. Do what you want to do, stay strong, and just, friendships are always meant to be, two-sided, reciprocated. If you think that that is off, don't be afraid to cut them off. Okay, so I want to give a quick recap of what I talked about in this video, because I do realize that this video is going to be a bit shorter because it's just me talking. But first, I talked about like friendships and relationships, or families, stuff like that. And I feel like when you're making decisions like this, when you're in a relationship that's toxic or uncomfortable, do not be afraid to stop talking to them or just leaving them be. I would say don't it's unnecessary to keep on entertaining like a relationship that you don't even feel right with. It's unnecessary. Just cut them off. And if you're scared about them making drama of the situation or them saying something about you, you need to let it go. You need to let it go because it is so much more worth it to cut somebody off who is toxic than fearing what they might say about you, because in reality that is so little compared to making that decision. And another thing I talked about is standing for your ground. That kind of ties into the relationship aspect, but standing your ground, in this episode I kind of talked about, standing your ground in all terms, not just friendships and relationships, but also like always just hearing what you want to do and putting that out there, because I know it's hard, especially at a young age, to be a person who has different opinions, who has different thoughts. It can be hard to go out there and express yourself. If you don't feel comfortable to express yourself in that area, just leave. Just leave, because when we're at this age and we can't express ourselves in friendships, that is so negative to your mind. And a lot of people our age don't realize that, because once you start behaving like that, you start losing your own self-respect, and it's easier for you to become a victim in relationships and all that type of stuff. I know that's a serious way to talk about it, but I just hope that like anybody out there listening to this podcast who is like me and has difficulty standing up for themselves, talking to people, confronting people, or just they're scared of what other people might think about them. You don't have to always share your opinion, but you definitely do have to let them know if they're making you feel sad, upset, or uncomfortable. That is definitely things that you need to put out there, or else people will know that you're an easy target. And I hope that you guys, you know, I hope that this never happens to you guys from this day onwards. I hope that you guys can start making decisions for yourself and go from it. And yeah, that's where I also started talking about making decisions. Just keep on being yourself, keep on being strong. Like, I know everybody says this, but I think it's so important to not listen to what other people say. Some people might be like, oh, you're being dramatic. If your line is here and they crossed it, don't let them cross it ever again, and let them know that's not okay. And that's really important. So before I end this episode, I want to talk about something that's off topic from this podcast, but it is still so very much important. And I want to talk about what's happening in this world this past week. I think it's been a really rough week for people around this whole world right now. There's a lot of violent and scary things happening. And I want to say to all the young people out there, a lot of us have access to media, social media, and we see so many scary things happening. And I would advise us to not so look at the violent aspect of it, but to learn from what's happening. It's easy to overconsume this content and feel scared, feel sad about what's happening in life. It's kind of in a way like it's scary if you think about it, realizing that all this stuff is happening, and for us, a lot of us, we're just living our lives and we're just continuing to do our own thing. While I record this episode, there are so many kids who are going through so much right now. I don't want to bring any politics into this or anything else, but I just want to say that even though there's so much hate and scary things happening, I want people our age to look at facts and knowledge and learn from what's happening, base their opinions off of that instead of feeling this fear, because in the future we are going to have to look at this even more, because we are going to be the adults of the future. I know that is kind of off topic from what we are doing right now, but I just want to say anyone who is scared about what's happening in the world right now, just don't overconsume it too much. And even though there are so many hateful things happening, we are all human at the end of the day, and we should respect one another. It's so much easier said than done, seeing that there's so many bad things happening, and all of this is just due to differing opinions. And that's why mental health is so important. It's important to be stable. It's important to be a good person. And a good person meaning that you don't want to cause harm to others. You don't want to hurt other people. And so I would say, I know this whole podcast has been about making decisions, and I think that's really important. But I think this is probably the most important thing. Be kind, be a human to all people. Okay, so that will be the end of this episode. I am really happy with the way it turned out. I'm glad that I got to talk about so many different things this episode. Okay, the mic is still on. Okay, I got scared for a second. But yeah, this was a great episode, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to follow us on Instagram because we post polls out there, and whenever you want, you can DM us if you have anything that you want to talk about. We're always here. We want to build a stronger community full of teenagers who are going to be, the future leaders and who are going to be the future representatives, all this stuff. I hope that you guys had a wonderful time listening to this. And yeah, have a nice day and stay calm with it.